Welcome to this video against Moises, and he is ignoring spectators. I hope he doesn't ignore me and he will move very soon. Let's say hello and wake him up. Okay, here we go. So knight f6, and you know what, let's try to play the Benko Gambit. I just talked about the Benko Gambit recently. I think it's a very nice opening. Let's bring over the bishop here on this diagonal. And yeah, I wonder if e5 is an option. I could also try to gain some space here, so the question is if I should really play b4. I think so, why not? I could have played a3, but yeah, then the pawn on b3 would be weak. So e5, the problem is, what do I do if he really takes on e6? Maybe I just take back the pawn. I have a nice pawn center. Yeah, I think I try this. Okay, now we have a very close position, but I think it's easier for me to develop my pieces here. And I will try to push for f5 now, and I want to move the knight to h7. Yeah, I didn't want to move the knight to h5 because exactly of this move. So I want to keep control here over the squares in the center. This is why I took back with the pawn. And now it would be very nice to get a knight here on d6. So maybe knight a6, knight c7, e8, d6, something like this. Well, okay, I need to protect the pawn, and I don't want him to play, you know, d6. It would be maybe sometimes very dangerous if a queen comes to d5, checking, taking the rook here. Yeah, the knight would also maybe the root f6, e8 is also possible, and I could try to move the knight to e3. So if he allows me to move the knight to g4, this would be really, really nice. So maybe I play the other knight now to f6. It's rather useless now because after I played knight f3, I cannot go to g5 anyway, so let's reroute. Okay, so he avoided knight g4, but here we go, we have knight g3 as an alternative. Yeah, and he can't even protect the square here. So yeah, he played it very, very quickly, the h3 move, but I think this was a huge blunder. It doesn't look like a blunder because it doesn't lose material, but I think now it's very, very, very difficult for him to save this game. Yeah, maybe. Okay, the idea is that I will open up the g file maybe. Is there any threat on this diagonal here? The bishop, I mean, if he can move the e5 pawn, but it's not possible at the moment. Okay. Yeah, let's just take here. And I would love to play something like g4 later on. I need to take care about this pawn here. Okay, let's regroup a bit. The position is so much closed that it's not very important, you know, to lose some time here. It's more important to find the right squares for your pieces. I would really like to play the knight here to f6 and h5. Here, however, he allows me to play h5 and g4. Yeah, so if he allows me to do so, I will just do it. And after g3, he already will have huge problems. But maybe I just leave it like it is, and although no, I just close here the position that he is not able to use its second rank here, and let's just retreat here. Okay, so now I can use the H file. And maybe I walk with a knight to h4 afterwards. So he cannot move the knight here anymore, but I don't have time. Bishop h3 is an option as well, by the way. Bishop g4 I can play, but I don't want to play bishop g4. I think I focus on the pawn on g2 now. Yeah, this didn't help that much for him. 24 seconds. So now I'm threatening just to exchange queens. And I can grab the rook here now on a2. Problem's only the time. And (16 seconds). Bishop, okay, doesn't work. Let's bring over the other rook. I mean, I can even you know, blunder a piece and I'm still won. Where does he want to move the bishop now? Maybe he will exchange it for the pawn here. Yeah, but now I have a checkmate on e2 with the rook. Whew! Okay, this was close because he played very quick. But yeah, what you can learn from this game is how to play in a very closed position. And yeah, I mean, this is a typical maneuver in also in the King's Indian defense, that you try to gain space here on the king's side, and if the position is closed like this, yeah, it's useful to try to gain even more space here and to push for g4. And you could see in the game that here when he allowed me to play h5, this position is already very, very dangerous for white. The pieces here, they are not able really to attack me. The bishop here on d3 is just like a pawn. You know, if you exchange it against a pawn, it wouldn't make much of a difference, because the moment white cannot free the bishop on d3, so it's just locked in. And my bishop on c8 at the moment, okay, it's true, the knight is in the way, and I want to protect the pawn here. But once the knight moves away, this bishop is very, very strong and can always sacrifice here also in h3. Yeah, so keep this idea, or this motive, so to say, in your repertoire when you have a close position like this, and yeah, try just to push the pawns here on the king side. And you can also see that the pieces of white are much more, you know, oriented on the queen side, so virtually you have more pieces to attack than white has to defend as well. Thanks for watching.